Gentlemen, I know we're doing this because it's the last podcast of February and we're feeling grumpy about it. Welcome, John Donovan, down in Oceanside, California, and our beloved colleague, Dan Gutierrez, here in Sacramento. Welcome, Dan.
Glad to be here.
Good to have you as always. Marty Keller also up here in Sacramento. It's a rainy day. It's a snowy day for some of us around here. It's unusual, but we're enjoying it. And so, Dan, you have something that you want to share. You have some thoughts or some experience that that you want to bring to our attention. I'd love to give you the floor.
Yeah. I was having I was taking a shower, and I just all of a sudden I started crying in the shower, and then I just noticed that I was allowing myself to cry, and there was no coercion going on telling me I should stay in the moment. What happened is literally I was watching myself go through my experience, and it was like I was literally became the adult in the situation, and the person going through the experience was little Daniel. And I just sat there, or I stood there with compassion, and I encouraged myself to have that experience, allow myself to feel, and that it was okay. I just started noticing that all the things that I'm struggling with are things that are emotional, stem from my not having learned how to manage and be with my emotions. I've been eating crazily for the last week. I've been drinking coffee like it's going out of style. I've been sleeping, and my addiction, my people pleasing, all the things I struggle with, or it seems like I have a new insight that it comes from my not being able to regulate my emotions. And I guess I get that. And the experience that I have was I gave myself permission not to feel bad about not having that ability. And it just flowed out of me. I've been trying really hard to understand or identify what that feeling is. And it's ever present, and I need help with that. I haven't been able to regulate it on my own. I'm a diabetic, and I overeat. I have high blood pressures, and I drink coffee. I get agitated. It's very difficult to be around when I'm in that state. And I get it's that state that creates the agitation, the fear, the feeling of the not being safe. and not having the answer to allow myself to be safe. I'm being asked to do something that I don't know how to do. And I'm gonna get judged harshly because I can't do it. That's me as a 7-year-old sitting in class and the teacher telling me to sit still and I can't. And I know she's gonna make me go stand in the back of the room. I'm gonna be ridiculed and I want to integrate that part of me. That's where all my issues are. I not say all my issues, but my inability to be in a nurturing relationship.
That's, if you don't mind me saying, interrupting, number one, I heard you ask, did I want help?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. And the avoidant behavior is what you're talking about, irritable, hard to be with, not present. I didn't hear you say not present, but I'm assuming not present. When you were in the shower and you observed yourself from the loving parent, the adult children of alcoholic 12-step loving parent, and you simply allowed yourself to cry and you witnessed it, what did you name the feeling? What did you say? I feel. What was that word that you used, or did you use a word?
No word. No word. I've decided I'm no longer going to name it. If I'm going to do anything, I'm just going to feel present to it.
Okay.
But that's confusing, and that's another way for me to get out of the moment.
What are some of the names you use that you say you're no longer going to use? How do you describe
the feeling is trapped.
Okay. So
powerless, helpless.
Okay. So if you'd be open to it, I heard you say you don't want to name it, and I want to lead you into a name.
Okay.
Okay. So if you bring back that sense of when you were standing in the shower, and just say, I'm hurt, or say, I'm sad, or, well, let's try those first. I'm hurt. Trapped is the story about the feeling. And it's like, and so let's try this if you're open to it. You bring it back the best way you can, and then hear yourself say, I'm sad, or from your loving parent, I see that you're sad. That would be a guess on the loving parent side, because the little child knows what they're feeling, or actually doesn't know what they're feeling and needs a mirror. So when you mirror that from your observing place, loving parent, you say, I see you feel sad, or I see that you're hurt. And then see what happens to your body. See if those resonate with that feeling tone, that crying.
I feel hurt. I feel sad.
Maybe even I'm afraid, I'm scared. There you go. Nice deep breath.
I feel I'm afraid.
Okay.
I don't feel safe. I really don't feel safe. I can't generate safety.
Okay. That's a, a, a projection. So try again. Let's go back to sad, hurt, afraid, one or all. I feel when I got to these places where I'd cry, all I could do was say, I'm sad, hurt, afraid, because I didn't know. I had no idea. I knew I was crying. And then I heard myself say, I'm sad, hurt, afraid. And one of those resonated with the body sensation, with the old trauma. So I want to see if that works with you. I'm sad, hurt, afraid. And then one may stick out. Sad may stick out. Afraid may stick out. And just don't talk about, don't, you'll probably think about it, but then bring it back to I'm sad, hurt, or afraid. See what happens.
I'm afraid.
There you go. Nice deep breath. And then be your observer and notice that little boy afraid. Just and be with him. Don't try to fix him. Don't try to like tell him anything. Just I see you're afraid.
I see you're afraid.
There you go. There you go. Nice deep breath. Okay. See, that's what I know you're going to say something. I'm just talking over you, but that's what you're looking for. You're looking for settling into the feeling, being validated, not being told, don't do this or be this way or come on. You're just witnessing yourself be afraid without blame or judgment. Just you're able now to have the loving parent to stand there and watch and witness that little boy's fear. Yes. That's all. That's it. That's self-regulating. That's being in the feeling without, having to do something to change it, fix it, move it someplace else. And then stay in the fear and see where it goes, see what it morphs into, or if it does, or maybe it goes deeper. I don't know.
I could tell you those words really don't resonate for me.
What words?
Fear, hurt. The feeling when I say the words, I don't feel safe. My body just I'm just in a panic.
There you go.
I'm I just see that little boy just his feet going up and down, and he doesn't know which way to run. He doesn't know which way to turn.
Right.
And he can't go anywhere. He's trapped. Right. It's just the feeling of just, I can't.
Okay.
Nothing I can do.
Okay, just follow me for a minute. I'm terrified. Nice deep breath. I'm terrified. You just allow terrified. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to just be terrified. There you go. There you go. Just stay in as long as you can. Drop. There you go. Breathe into, because that's what not safe is. It's terrified. Nice deep breath. There you go. You notice how you like hold your breath, this nice deep breath. I'm terrified. There you go. I'm gonna witness for you. I'm gonna be the witness this time right here. I'm gonna witness your terror. You're terrified. There you go. It's okay.
They just tell me to stop, but nobody tells me how to not be terrified.
Okay, no, we gotta be terrified. Be witnessed, be mirrored, terrified. So that the witness tells you that when you're gonna be okay. No one's going to tell you, you got to, you have to get out of here. You're stupid. Nothing. Just, I'm terrified.
I'm terrified. I am.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. There you go. Yeah. Nice deep. There you go. Breathe. Nice deep breath. I'm terrified. Yeah. I see that you're terrified. In fact, I feel that. I'm, oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. See, and if you can't breathe, I'll breathe for you. It just like I'm. There you go. Yeah. Just gonna breathe. Breathe into it. There you go. And just notice, be with. Notice the chatter in your head.
I'm just really sad.
Yeah.
Really sad.
Yeah. Just, there you go. Nice deep breath. I'm sad. Sad is hurt healing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. Allow yourself just to feel sad, tremendously, unequivocally sad. And now notice where you're at now. Notice your body.
Yeah.
There you go. Now, that is emotional regulation. It's just being with whatever, however, what is. I'm terrified. And then breathing. And then seeing, not expecting, condemning, criticizing, all that chatter. And being witnessed. then when somebody in your group says something like, I shouldn't be, or I have to be, or I don't know. Okay, what's the feeling? And it's sad, hurt, afraid, terrified, um, hurt is my experience of fracture or
Yeah.
destruction, humiliation.
I've been frustrated because I do this for other people as well.
Yeah,
And, it's a surrender to that I don't know how to do this for myself.
right.
Yeah, it's had an impact on my life. Poor kid.
I know. Oh my God. How we survived, and I know how we survived by stuffing it. Um, when I say stuffing it, it's feeling terrified and stopping breathing. It's like you ever see hear a 3-year-old suck up. It's like they're crying and they go, and they're actually stuffing the fear inside them. It's like with their breath. I remember doing that, I don't know, as a child. And then become an adult, and I can't cry. It's like it comes up to here and it goes away. It just like chokes off and boom, stop. So yeah. And our body has a associated feeling with death, fight, flight, freeze. And for that 3-year-old, 6-year-old, that was the truth. If your parents
Yep.
left, you were annihilated. You couldn't feed yourself. You couldn't.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know. For me, it's like I learned not to speak about it because every time I opened my mouth, there was no compassion or no. It was, it's your fault.
Yeah, you sissy, you
They'll figure it out
yeah.
without any help.
Go to your room. When you get it figured out, come back.
And never having the right answer. So it's just, you quit trying.
Yep.
You isolate, you don't talk.
Well done, Daniel. It, I'm good at being the facilitator. Is being the facilitatee that is the problem for me. And fortunate enough, I'm in a relationship where this stuff is coming back up. I've been out of a relationship for a long time, and consciously so. And I consciously got into a relationship. And one of the things I'm discovering about myself is that um, I'm afraid of joy. I'm afraid of receiving affection without some some requirement due afterwards. It's like, what? And I'm being given that feedback from my partner when I open up and say I feel, I'm not present, or I feel like irritated, agitated, otherwise annoyed, and I know that, and I'm getting the feedback. My back went out, and I went to the chiropractor, and he was working on my back, and I think thoracic vertebrae 8. I said, where does that go to? What organ does that feed? And he says the spleen. The spleen is where our joy comes from, our discernment. And I said, well, and I was like kidding on the square, but I said, I'm suffering from tremendous amounts of joy. That's why my back hurts. It's like, and it's like, oh my God, there's truth to that. I'm being loved by somebody who is unconditional loving, and I'm like, my back goes out, or I'm so yeah. So what I'm working on now is being able to receive physical affection. Holy shit, who'd have thought?
That's how my last relationship ended. With the statement was that I can't do this anymore. You won't let me love you.
Right. Well, I'm there, Daniel.
I mean, I can see it. It makes sense. Yeah. I mean, it all makes sense. I understand it, and it's, despite the understanding, it's still difficult to allow at times.
Well, and you experienced this shower episode with crying, which is emoting something. We discovered it was fear. The story was I'm trapped, which, yeah, I'm terrified. You witnessed that terror, and it came at mine. I don't know about yours. Mine came at the hands of people who said, I love you. And then I grow up, and this woman's looking at me, I love you. And it's like, what's that? No. Oh my God.
So that's funny. I'm working with a person, and another person who manages or how do I say this? Supervises this person.
Mm-hmm.
She sent me a text saying that my work with this other person has impacted the other person greatly in a positive way.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you're telling me I'm doing something really good, and I'm and I'm terrified of it.
Yep.
Because I don't know what to do with it.
Right.
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
So the idea of emotional regulation isn't just for dealing with those sad, terrified emotions. They're also for dealing with joy.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yes.
Like I notice I'm happy. I think I'll just let happiness happen. And then there's that resistance pushback. It's that same thing here, John. It's like joy can rise this far, and then the head goes, no.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Because joy is dangerous too.
Yeah, when you're joyous, you're usually being exuberant and not necessarily following the rules.
Yeah, you're not in control either.
Not,
There you go. You're feeling alive and a feeling alive is terrified when the situation is terrorizing. That's alive. And joy when it's joyful. And that was what was demeaned, diminished, ridiculed, humiliated. So any feeling on the spectrum, we classify it negative, positive, and they're all neutral.
Yeah. And that's the, yeah, exactly. That's the big thing, the big misconception, positive and negative emotions,
Right.
and that's just, I just, it's okay to feel happy. Well, it's okay to feel everything.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to feel everything, not just, and some people can feel uncomfortable with happiness, just like some people feel uncomfortable with sadness.
Yes. Actually, that's what I'm telling you. I'm feeling affection, physical affection, and I'm pulling away. I'm in an avoidant behavior. I go into irritated, agitated, otherwise annoyed, or seclusion, or judgment, or storytelling about motives, instead of resting in the feeling of affection. Oh my God. No.
Well, what you're saying is that in order to rest, if I got you right, in order to rest in that feeling of affection, we first have to rest in the feeling of resistance to the affection.
Yes, I have to know that I'm resistant to the affection, which is the avoidant behavior. I'm resistant to feeling affection, physical affection. Well, of course I am. I was an incest survivor. So when I was getting that incested, there was probably a feeling of affection that was not able to like coordinate, and I wanted away. So it makes sense to me that, oh, this is coming up. Oh my God. So
And it shows up, if I'm listening to you right, because I think I can resonate with the experience, it shows up as a gut level feeling. It's not a
yeah,
thought. It's
no,
it's
yes.
it's an impulse.
And my avoidant behavior is getting into irritated, agitated, otherwise annoyed. And the story I'm telling about the other person or the situation or the color of the room's not right, or something's going on up here. And I'm not able to rest in that feeling of affection. Wow. Shit.
Well, the impulse is the fucking tiger's in the bushes and he's coming out.
There you go. And it's in the system, survival mechanism, fight, flight, freeze.
Yeah.
Oh
And
my
it's
God.
not, yeah, that feeling that is that I know there's a tiger in the bushes. Here he comes, and I can't do nothing.
Right.
I have to take it.
You're trapped. You are trapped. You are screwed. Boom. Yes.
And no lessons on how not to be trapped.
Okay. Well, and
Now we do.
now we do. We got the I feel terrified. Well, there's nothing. It's like, oh my God. No, I feel terrified. That's that little child is allowing that feeling to come up without a condition, no blame, no judgment. I'm terrified. And I'm in my own place. I'm safe. The temperature's right at 60 or whatever. It's comfortable. And I'm terrified. Yes. That childhood feeling is being processed now. For me, it'd be at 73. It's okay. I'm going to be okay. Oh my God. And then for me, sometimes it moves to sadness, like, oh my God, I'm this old and I'm here, right here now. Or anger, like, how? No, this is not okay. This is, no, this is not okay. That was not okay what happened. And feel that whelming of injustice, like that's anger, and that anger motivates me to, okay, I'm gonna sit here for a minute and see what happens.
And then we get to say what we want.
Exactly. There you go. Let's wrap this up with, and I intend to revel in affection. Ooh.
How does that feel?
That's like, huh? Okay, no, yeah, no. I intend to revel in my capacity for affection and my capacity to receive affection, physical affection, specifically. Wow. Wow. I want to cry now. It's like, this is like, I know we're the facilitators, but we're in our, yeah. I'm grateful for you too, and this capacity to just to be the wounded child I am.
Would you be willing to talk to this issue? So Dan, when you had this experience in the shower, I'm assuming there wasn't anything specific that triggered that. It just showed up. Yes.
Well, all I can say is that it's beyond my consciousness.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like you didn't like stub your toe and get
No.
so John, the reason I asked that is that there's a number of people that we work with in our meetings who experience spontaneous sadness.
Yes.
They're driving down the road and all of a sudden they feel like crying or something. And so could you talk to the what's going on, help people
Yes.
get a better sense of that?
Yes.
Because sometimes people get real frustrated and they think there's something wrong with them.
Right. So the intent to heal or go into recovery or adult children of alcoholics and find out why I do what I do, why am I in avoidant behavior, why am I either an alcoholic or codependent, or I'm in some kind of avoidant behavior, and any thought about a feeling is the story about the feeling and avoidant of the feeling, like I'm trapped, I'm like, oh my God, I'm irritated, agitated. And as they go through this process and discover that they're resistant, that it's a mechanism inside of them that kept them protected, survived their childhood, and they're working on it, and they watch other people move through um, um, violent or own a projection, like that person's an asshole, and the person owns it. And we're witnessing this healing, and we're being witnessed without judgment or blame, because when we come into the rooms, everybody's doing the same thing. Our intent that I want to heal happens. Healing is feeling the sadness that you couldn't feel as a child spontaneously. It's like there were times where I started weeping, just usually alone, and I would just weep. And what I did, I was graced with the awareness to simply allow myself to weep, just let it go, let the snot come out, let the tears flow, and just weep. I didn't have to know what it was about. I knew I was wounded, and that sadness, that what do you call it, emotive feeling, crying, is an expression of the sadness, which I worked real hard to get to, but I didn't know what it was. And then it pops up and I go, oh, what's this? That's what I've been looking for, is the moment of healing where I can allow myself simply to, sad is a big one. Sad is that those times I was ridiculed, humiliated, chastised, hit, removed from the people, isolated, to now just like cry. That hurt. And is coming through years of resistance, of conditioning to not cry, and it just whelms out. And it's like, good news is it's happening. The bad news is, oh shit, it's happening, and it's new. It's like I've stuffed it so well, I've forgotten what it feels like to feel, and it seems foreign. It seems frightening, and it is. It is all those things all rolled into one. So it's it's a result of their intent, whatever their intent was. Usually when people come to our groups, the first question is, what do you want that you don't have? I want to feel a sense of peace. Well, that peace comes through the expression of the tremendous amounts of sadness and grief that are stuck in me. So,
Well, the other part that's we often don't consider, I didn't when we start this work, is that when I say I intend to feel my feelings, that's the one that many people get to.
mhm.
It doesn't say I intend to feel my feelings on a schedule I approve of.
Correct.
And so,
When I want to, yeah.
well, the body's always creating sensation. It's just that we're not usually aware of them because they're not necessarily acute, but there's always some emotion going on. And so when I say I intend to feel my feelings, then whoa. I mean, every once in a while, as a facilitator, one of us will say, be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You know, I'm thinking, um, what brings back childhood feelings is the smell of fresh baking bread. Because my grandmother lived right next to Rainbow in Oak Park, Rainbow Bakery, and I would smell that in the morning, and it was like, that is a comforting smell. And I just whelmed with this connection and safe, because I did feel safe around my grandmother. Um, and then I don't know, it could be a breeze, it could, I don't know, it's just something, I don't want to say triggers, but allows this feeling to, what's the word, to express, to evoke. It's,
To
yeah,
be.
to be, through the layers of conditioning and resistance and avoidant behaviors that are stacked up on top of, and guilt and shame. And here's another thing. See, our bodies know how to do it. If we give it permission, it will do it in its time, appropriately for it. And our schedule may not fit its process. Like, I'm at work right now. A lot of people I work with, they won't talk to me before they go to work because they get, nah, I don't want, okay, I'll talk to you after. Or, because they want to maintain their ability to function, which is real. And a lot of times I'll work with somebody and I'll say, okay, let's put this aside. That was deep. There was feeling there. You have to drive home. So put this aside, make a little bubble around your little boy, little girl, whatever. Say you're coming back, but right now I have to be an adult. I have to drive and pay attention to the lights and the cars and stay safe. I'm not, and that part of you that is hurting hears that and knows that you are going to come back and believes you, and then I can function. Because there's times where, okay, I can't do this. I have to drive. And I know that I need to be present in my driving. So, yeah.
I notice it happens for me when I am driving, like a long distance.
Mm-hmm.
It's where my mind all of a sudden wanders, and it happens then
Mm-hmm.
a lot.
Yeah.
Or in the shower, or when I'm riding my motorcycle, or usually when I'm alone somewhere or another,
Mm-hmm.
inside my helmet, where there's nobody else but me and the wind noise, and I tune that out.
No distractions.
Yeah, I mean, I remember doing that when we were still meeting in Sacramento, every time I go to my dad's house, I have a new revelation. Every time I get somewhere near Modesto,
Mm-hmm.
I'd start crying or something and have this, fuck all you guys. I'm tired of listening to your shit.
Mm-hmm.
No more.
I was at um, I was at a men's gathering in Ojai, California in 1989 when I first started my recovery. And Robert Bly was the officiator. We were in a big circus tent. There were 307 men. And he talked about our stuffing our grief. We live in a society that does not know how to grieve. And he said if we touched that grief, we would all wail and the noise would be deafening. And he started like going and really loudly, which was at that time for me it was embarrassing. I wanted to just like curl up and go away. And I see the truth in what he was saying. The pain inside of me is at times was so great that just wailing would have. And he also said that that's important for our communities is that our people, men specifically, we were in a men's group, that men grieve, because if they don't grieve, that stuff comes out sideways and it comes out in violent, emotionally, verbally, and physical violence on the people they say they love, themselves and the people around them. So this is what we're talking about, is the capacity to grieve. And now that I'm thinking about those tears that just came and I allowed, that was my grieving. Acceptance of what happened to me, and that's sad. It happened, and I cried. It hurt, and yes, and it wasn't okay. Yes, and so
Right. Unresolved pain
unresolved pain.
will it has to go somewhere.
Yes.
And if I don't release it for myself, I project it out onto others.
Right.
So that's how I unload my grief or
Yes.
my fear I created in others.
Yep.
That's our
Right.
principle. Hurt people, hurt people.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we're being specific, emotionally, verbally, and physically violent towards the people around us, because that grief is going to express. And if I don't let it come through, recognize and feel, it comes out and destroys. It's destructive and it causes separate. It's about annihilating the things around me so that I feel safe. If I could have done that as a child, it probably would have happened. Just screw you, I'm out of here. I'll come back when you guys got this shit figured out. I would have not put
It's
up
not
with it.
only the people around us. We actually it also occurs. We do damage to our bodies.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I have Crohn's disease, which is just that thing you were talking earlier about stuffing the breathing. And it's like Crohn's disease is stuffing all that sadness and grief into my guts.
Yep.
And at a certain point in time, there just isn't any room for anymore for it.
Right. And it eats itself up.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, John, for those who come to this work through AA, specifically, would you say there's an analogy between the work of emotional regulation and what Bill W. was aiming for in his idea of emotional sobriety?
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. It's healing the pain. And my experience of AA is that it just went so far. They have some of the sayings is, I don't know, first thought wrong. Feelings aren't facts. And AA is a tremendous organization. It's saved millions of lives. It's a good organization. And for me, even in AA and adult children of alcoholics, I had the beginning, started looking for something. What's the next level? Where do we take this instead of just staying in this awareness? And it's healing. It brought me to the point where I was looking for more, and this intentional living accountability tree process is my answer to how do I do this effectively. How do I acquire the tools to move through this on my own, and then assist other people to see it themselves. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Well, yeah, I remember when somebody first brought that famous essay that Bill W. wrote about emotional sobriety to my attention, and it seemed he was reaching for something beyond what goes on in the rooms of AA.
Right.
It's almost like, okay, I'm sober for what? Now that I'm sober, now what?
Yeah.
And the idea isn't sobriety for sobriety's sake. It's sobriety in service of something even greater, which in our language, or the way I express our work, is to create the life I choose.
Correct. And our understanding of our emotions back in 1935 is different than our understanding of emotions.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And emotion, what I've come to see, emotions are my contact, my feeling body outside of my see, hear, taste, touch, smell, of gathering information about my well-being, about my next best move for myself, safety for me and safety for the people around me. And emotions are simply information sources about where I'm at and my well-being and my safety. And when I pay attention to my emotional body and I do this accountability tree, I access those forces that I think we're moving into as a race consciousness, our ability to imagine, inspiration, and intuition. Yeah, that's probably a whole nother podcast.
Well, let's do it.
Okay. All right.
Well, we've talked about this before, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we can talk about it enough.
No,
Just like we can't talk about the ABCs of this work enough, or what Dan brought up to us today enough.
I agree. Yeah. The mechanism that created the addiction, codependency, and avoidant behavior is powerful enough to take me out of my life force into a survival mode. And it is doing that. It's a benevolent energy trying to keep me safe based on misinformation from my past. And the reinforming is through my emotional feeling body that I'm safe today. I wasn't safe back then, and I'm no longer back there. And I'm informing my body, my visceral feeling, cellular body, that I'm safe now. And it's okay to receive affection. It's okay to receive love. It's okay to be vulnerable because I have the wherewithal to move and maneuver in that for my own safety. I did not have that as a child. Absolutely true. Today I do. I'm reinforming my whole being, all aspects of me. They're still stuck in the fear and the avoidance. That it's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Right.
Go, just take a breath. You're not going to get hurt. And if it does hurt, you can say, ouch. And it's okay. You can say, ouch, that hurt. And nobody's going to leave and nobody's going to chastise.
Well, and that too, it's just like an old program that, use computer language. It's old coded source that nobody has access to.
Right.
And trying to reprogramming it using modern or current code is not going to, you can't do it. You
Right.
have to go back to the primal source of encoding, and that's the emotional body. That's the emotion, the experience of the emotions, and that's the hack, if you want to call it that.
We have to access the floppy disk.
Or you know,
Or the
the punch
BIOS.
cards, the punch cards.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, the old IBM punch card machine.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and that's for me. That's where I have. That's yeah. That is the source code for emotions
Yep.
or fear or with you can't act it. It happened with an emotional content to it, the events, and it also has to happen with an emotional content or re-experiencing to some level the old emotional intensity.
Right. Pain, hurt, afraid, sad.
Yeah, and then and then you change it, or then you add something new. Slowly and surely, the new information becomes the source of safety. That's the new default safety measure: is intimacy, closeness, and that there's an underlying drive to even that, even though we're afraid of it, terrified of it, there's that attachment drive that's still there.
Yep.
It doesn't go away if you're a human being or if you're a mammal.
Right.
It doesn't go away.
Well, the beauty is that very fundamental process of generating our belief system. I'm not safe. I need to be defensive. Has the exact same power to generate something different.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
creative source is unrelated to what it creates. It will create whatever we program it to create.
Yes. And it requires validation of the old programming to get
Yes.
in.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You can't just that's
can't
spiritual
override
bypass.
it.
You
You
can't
can't
spiritual
override it by
bypass.
violence.
No, you can't outsmart it, you can't outthink it.
No.
It has to agree, and it has to be in a safe environment where that mechanism sees the new states of being that you want as safe.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a great task when you don't even know what. Okay, I can only speak for myself. When I didn't understand that, I didn't know what the hell that I was looking for or what the hell I wanted. And yeah, it's just not okay. It's a safe environment allows this to happen. Just the sheer fact that I cried in the shower and I allowed myself to do it told me that I have achieved some measure of safety within myself, that I will allow this to happen, and it comes and does its thing.
Yes. Bingo. Booyah.
And yeah, that's what I'm to self-regulate. I have to be codependent and have somebody help me in the beginning, mirror my emotions, mirror my state.
Mhm.
That's what a child does. And then when you grow older, you no longer need that mirroring because you have a sense of self.
Yep.
And then you go out and you attract somebody else. You're programmed to procreate. You're programmed for attachment. And then you draw people towards you who have the same attachment energy as you did. it's all about survival. It doesn't matter whether you get along. You get along long enough to have kids, and then
Mhm. Yeah. Then there, yeah.
yeah.
Well,
So-
that's yet another podcast.
Yeah. That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
So if you
Well-
were to ask me how I felt right now,
Yep.
I feel safe within myself. I'm not judging, blaming, or should-haves, could-haves, would-haves. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I've always been looking for.
Yeah.
And I've sought in other people, other things, other behavior, awards, validation, jobs, money, cars, women. So I feel good enough. If I feel good enough, I will no longer be under the stress of having pressure to be anything other than what I am at that moment. And that's hopefully myself. That's me. And I'm experiencing me.
Yes. Yay.
Well, on that note, gentlemen, we're coming to the end of our time together.
Oh,
And
damn it.
yeah, damn it. I want to thank you, Dan, for bringing this experience and inquiry of yours to us. Thank you so much for sharing that. And
Thanks for having the podcast to have beginners like me have a measure of safety and trust in others.
yeah, well, all three, we're a holy trinity of beginners here, so it's great. So Dan, before I ask John to for any last words, do you have a last word that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I intend to create a world of acceptance, compassion, connection, and wisdom.
I support you.
Thank you.
John, any
Uh,
last words?
It is my vision to create a world of acceptance, harmony, and unconditional love, allowing all of mankind to live and grow in peace and freedom.
Enough said. Well, thanks, gentlemen.
Yes.
As always, Dan, look forward to having you back in a future podcast.
Cool.
And thank you again for coming on. And John, thank you. And we'll see. I sometimes forget. Those of you who are watching this would like to participate in this work, as you saw John and Dan do this work, going into the feeling, hold the feeling, emotional regulation, giving ourselves permission to feel what we feel, and then moving to create what we want, if that's what we don't want. We have 4 meetings that are on Zoom a week, and information on how to find those Zoom URLs is after the podcast is over on the end cards. So please feel free to get in touch and